In case you missed it, I just spent the most fabulous week in France with Dior Beauty, and while there I had the honor, the privilege of having my face touched by the makeup artist known as none other than Aurelie Payen. She's a beautiful, classy French lady, and obviously when she says her own name with her French accent, it sounds so much more beautiful. I feel like I'm not doing it justice, but Aurelie Payen, aka the head makeup artist on Emily in Paris, also Lily Collins's makeup artist, and she was fabulous. It was a fabulous experience, and fortunately and unfortunately, we were chatting so much. I was like literally soaking up her. I'm like, tell me about your life, tell me about your work, please talk to me. And me and Dan were sitting there listening to her speak, chatting so much that we actually run out of time. So I didn't have very much time to like truly capture an image of the makeup that she did on me because we were late by the time that she was done. But we did have a few shots, a few photos from the evening, but mainly I just wanted to talk to you about my experience and show you a few of the tips and tricks that I learned while she was doing my makeup. So that's what we're gonna do today, a little makeup artist highlight. Aurelie, you are such a joy, and it was such a pleasure to have her work on my face. And as always, I feel like I learned so much, and every makeup artist has fun little different unique techniques that they do and use on the face, and it is just so fun to be able to have that experience firsthand and learn from the best. So today, my friends, we're diving in, and I'm going to chat with you about how Aurelie did my makeup. So to begin, let us dive in with the skin. Now, like we've learned from many a makeup artist in the past, the skin prep is everything. And I was asking her while she was doing my makeup, I'm like, listen, Aurelie, when you're doing makeup on a client, a celebrity client, like what's the typical timeline? Give me a timeline. How long does it usually take? And she was like, it can take up to 2 hours, with like 1 hour of that being skin prep. So you know that she takes the skin prep very, very seriously. Now, she had a multitude of skin prep products. Obviously, we were there with Dior Beauty, so she was using all of the Dior Prestige line. But obviously, you can substitute with whatever you have at home, but mainly to focus on a serum, a cream, and an eye cream. So I'm actually going to use the Tatcha little dewy skin set here because I feel like this just gives that ultimate skin prep, mucho dewy finish feel. So I'm going to rub that in, and she was just like rubbing my face so much. She did a full-blown face massage, which I'm just not going to be able to do on myself, but I'm going to try to just like really press this in and warm up the face and get the blood pumping, you know? But yeah, she really focused on the face massage as she was applying this. And then she also used a roller, which was fun. I've seen a lot of makeup artists use those like cool globes too. That's super fun. Listen, we don't need to go that deep here with our own makeup, okay? But just know that the process was there. I'm just dipping my finger into the face cream to get a load of that in. And just pressing that into the skin as well. And then for the eye cream, I'm actually going to use the Dior Prestige eye serum that I got on the trip because this one has like its own little built-in roller. So I feel like that'll just give us a little faux under eye massage. And when she was applying the eye cream, she did take a roller and just sit here and roll my under eyes for a hot minute. So this feels very cooling and delightful with the little metal applicator. So I'm just going to sit here and pretend like I'm depuffing myself. And I'll just pat that under, put it on top a little bit, and I feel hydrated and prepped and massaged and ready for the base. Now the base is where things definitely get interesting. She obviously, like, listen, I'm still in my most pale natural state. I haven't put a tan on in a hot minute, so we're keeping with the pale theme, and she actually matched my true skin tone naturally. She was using the Dior foundation, and she mixed together the shades 0.5 and 1. Now, it's like a personal thing, but I just feel like I need a little wash of warmth. I do like to add a little bit of warmth, so I'm not going to use the same shades. I'm still going to stick with the shades 1 for the Dior products, and I'm going to use my Armani Luminous Silk in the shade 5 because I just feel like it gives me that wash of a glow, that little bit of a warmth, healthy finish on the skin. But just know that her matching skills were impeccable, and your girl was pale that night. But one thing that I never do, and I've been meaning to do, and Aurelie obviously did, and many makeup artists do, is use a palette. She had a lovely little metal palette that she was working off of the entire time, and using that to mix the shades together. So I'm just gonna pump my foundation on here, and not that I'm like mixing shades together, but I think it was really important to note that she was using the smallest amount. She was using a duo fiber brush to apply the product, and doing so off of a palette. So that's what I'm gonna do. This is a little Real Techniques duo fiber brush here, and she was literally just like petting like this and applying the smallest amounts as she was building up the product. And this is where I want to really note the specific technique that she was doing, because as she was petting it off the palette with a brush, she would push it into my skin like so, and then go in after and push it in. And this is the one thing that I was so surprised about, and I commented on it multiple times, is that normally when it comes to makeup, we're told to use very soft pressure with our fingers, especially when it comes to applying it around our eyes. But she was literally like pushing it into my skin with a very, very firm touch. And in this way, it was literally just forcing the product into the skin, blending it in, and really making it melt into the skincare. And when I tell you that she did this around my face for like 30 minutes, like I'm not exaggerating. She was doing this for so long and taking her time, building up the product, doing the smallest, lightest layers in the skin, and she would apply it with the brush and then go between the brush with her finger. And she just did this over and over and over again, all over the skin, until she was happy with the product buildup on the face. And it was just fascinating to watch. And obviously the Luminous Silk foundation in particular, as well as the Dior Glow foundation, those are both very, very glowy, natural products. But this technique of going between the brush and literally shoving it into your face with your finger, though it takes a long time to kind of go around the entire face, I could not believe how natural the finish looked when she was done. Like, you could obviously still see like bumps on my face where I had blemishes, but it was the most natural finish that I had ever had with my makeup, and it was so cool. And it just kind of like debunked that idea of not being able to like use pressure on your skin. Do you know what I mean? I was really surprised by it, and I have been itching to try it ever since I got home, and I just find it so cool. And it kind of forces you to just really go around and look at your face and truly map out where you actually need the coverage instead of applying that entire layer all over. So obviously this is a technique that I would do like on a better skin day. If I had a big active breakout, there's absolutely nothing wrong with using more coverage and just whipping it all over with a beauty blender. But doing this technique would also just really help with the longevity of the makeup, because you're really forcing it in there in layers. And yeah, this is like the number one takeaway that I got from her doing my makeup, because she spent so long doing the skin, and it was just such a little valuable tip to take away. So I'm going to go ahead and just keep pressing and buffing and seeing where the coverage takes me. So that is a very, very natural, soft application, a soft layer of the foundation applied onto my face. And I'm not gonna lie, these next steps are where things get a little hazy for me, because we were in such a deep, good chat. I didn't notice when she had switched from doing foundation to concealer, because she was still working off of the same palette and still going in with her fingers and using that same dual fiber brush. So I didn't notice that she had switched to concealer. And at one point I was like, oh, are you doing concealer? And she's like, yeah, I have two mixed here and blah, blah, blah. And she was just going in between. So it was just really a moment of artistry and mixology. And I just hadn't noticed that changeover. So we're just kind of gonna use our own little imagination here and also apply concealer. So I've got the Dior Forever concealer that I'm going to put here, which is a little bit of a more hydrating concealer. And then I'm going to take the Dior Backstage concealer and use this one for a little bit more of that spot concealing where I need it. And I'll just go between the two and kind of just like mix it with the foundation and try to emulate my best Aurelie application skills on my face. So I've got a lot of darkness under the eyes, so I'm definitely going to want to put a little bit there, trying to use really, really small amounts. And I'm just gonna pat that in with my finger actually, and again, really press that into the skin. And here is the next big takeaway that just like blew my mind. So she was doing all of this pressing in, melting the products into the skin. And every once in a while, like I'm very, very dry. Obviously I have dry skin, it's deeply annoying. And oftentimes I feel like I'm just creping away regardless. But the very interesting thing that Aurelie did is she just went back in with the cream. Usually like my usual steps when it comes to makeup is very methodical. I do my foundation, done. I do my concealer, done. Contour, done. Set with powder, done. Never touch it again. And the entire time she just kept going back to this palette and kept going back to the cream and would rub things in as we go. At the very end of the makeup, my eyes were getting a little bit dry, and she just went back in with the eye cream and went blah, 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 and dipped into the eye cream and put it on top of absolutely everything else that was there. And I was like, hold on, what are you doing? And she was like, if you're dry, add cream, blend it in, mix it in. And that was the really cool, beautiful thing about her little finger blending brush blending method was that there just seemed to be no rhyme or reason. Like she just applied what she needed to as she needed to. And I just thought that was really fun. It was kind of reinforcing that idea that there's really no rules when it comes to makeup, even though so many of us can follow a very regimented linear routine. She just really treated the face as art, and I just thought that was a really cool takeaway. So I'm going to finish my makeup here, apply the concealer, and if you need to apply more lotion after, you can do so. That was fun, and I just really appreciate that very natural lived in makeup that is perfect for the everyday, because I feel like once the makeup is done and you give it time to settle, you let the layers settle in between, you just never need as much as you think you do, you know? And that becomes so clear when it comes to the makeup artist way of applying makeup. That was such a fascinating tip that I learned from her. And you know what? I'm pretty happy with this coverage. And I think that the Tatcha products gave us a really nice hydrated base. So I don't feel like I need to go in with that additional hydration, but just know she did that. I do, however, want a little bit of extra coverage and brightening just in this very, very innermost corner. And with my nails, I can't really get in there. So I'm just gonna take a smaller dual fiber brush and get right in there. I actually really want to pick up the brushes that she used. I took a couple screenshots of the ones that she was using because they looked so beautiful. One was the Lancome number 7 brush. The ones that I have are perfectly acceptable, but I just really want the one she used. And then she had another brand of a powder brush that I don't know how I'm going to get my hands on it, but I'm going to go on a deep hunt for, and I'll try to find a link for you as well because it just looked so soft and delightful. Moving on to contour, she actually used a Lancome contour stick, which, guys, that's one of my oldest videos. One of the first early reviews I ever did was on the Lancome contour stick, and that was the contour stick that she actually used on my face. I feel like my Westman Atelier contour stick in Biscuit is very much in line with what that contour stick looked like, but I thought that was really cool. It was such an old product favorite of mine, and I thought that was really cool that that's the one she used. So she did go in with a little bit of contour. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to very naturally imitate the natural shadows on my face. She used such a light hand with this. Like even me applying it like this is probably way more than she went in with, but just trying to give a little extra sculpting to the cheekbones. And she also didn't use like a cream or powder bronzer. So really just focused on etching in that natural contour on the cheekbones as well as on the jawline. And she didn't put anything on my nose. She didn't put anything on my nose. And I'm not gonna lie, I did go in and do a little bit of it after because I do just feel a little bit naked without anything on my nose, especially in photos. It just like can shine very bright and white in photos if I don't put anything on there. But I will take it as a compliment that she saw nothing to fix on my nose. So Aurelie, thank you so much for that. Now when it comes to makeup artist makeup, and especially like getting to get a glimpse inside a makeup artist kit, one of the most fascinating and kind of like disheartening things that I've come to realize is that so many makeup artists, like they do with the base, they just mix a lot of products together when doing color on the face. And this obviously isn't always the case, but so many makeup artists that I have met and had the pleasure of like witnessing their makeup kits, they just have a lot of different products depotted, and they kind of just do a little mixology between a bunch of different shades. So you never actually know what shade is on the face when it comes to the cheeks or lips or sometimes eyeshadow, because they might be mixing a million different ones together. So especially when it comes to cream blush and lipstick, I've seen a lot of mixing going down. So I'm not gonna do that today. I am gonna do one shade. I thought that this Stila convertible color in the shade Lilium, I don't know if you guys remember when I picked this up, kind of one of those product rediscoveries that I had. I thought that this shade looked very similar to the kind of concoction that she had put on my cheek. And might I just say again, it was so fascinating to witness her makeup kit. She has so many different shades, so many colors depotted into these beautiful like stacks on stacks on stacks of palettes that she traveled with. It was crazy, especially when it came to the eyeshadows. It was the holy mother load of makeup depotted into those palettes, you guys. It was so crazy. So I'm gonna go ahead and dip into this cream, and I'm kind of gonna try to do the same, like very light hand with this. I'm using the same dual fiber brush that we used for our foundation because I feel like that will help to just melt it all in. But I was actually surprised how heavy-handed she actually went right on the apples of my cheeks and really gave that flushed look. So I'm gonna start small. I'm gonna try to build this up. And she just used the lightest little tapping motions with that dual fiber brush and just really built up the shade. I feel like, yeah, this shade is very similar to what that looked like. Yeah, I'm just gonna build that up. Might have gone a little heavy right there, whoops. I'll just take another brush that I have on hand and just kind of like push that and melt it into the skin a little bit more. And that was it for the face for now. She didn't touch it with powder or absolutely anything else until the very end. So I'm going to leave the skin here and we're going to move on to the eyes. Now the eyes she kept so simple. She used one black eyeliner and then one shimmery shadow. And I actually took a picture of the Dior, like the depotted Dior palette that she used. She used one like really beautiful silver shimmer from it. But I have no idea like what palette that would have been from or what collection, because she just had so many different beautiful shadows depotted. So I'm going to go ahead and use a black liner because that's what she did. And that's actually like a very signature look for Aurelie based on a few videos that I've seen floating around on the interweb. I do have the Wayne Goss Obsidian Essential Eye Pencil, which I think will very much give a similar look. So we're gonna try to do the same here. She started on the lash line and just pressed that in, and she obviously used like the lightest little layers and kept building up the product, but first started out by smoking it onto the lash line just to really build up the smokiness on the lash line, and then push that into the crease. So just really blending that in and keeping those layers super light. She did the smallest amount, honestly. There was nothing too crazy or deep about this. She would kind of go in like off her hand, off the pencil, and just, again, really like melt this into the eye. And I do think there was a little bit of action in the crease as well, but nothing too intense, because when you're using a pencil like this, you can blend it out to be so light. But again, she just really focused this on the lash line and kind of just etched around like that classy smoky eye feel. I'm just gonna keep a clean brush on hand and just blend that out, because I feel like I even put a little bit too much in the crease right there, but you guys get the idea. You get the point. We'll do a little bit of that on the lower lash line too. And she did do a little bit of tight lining on my inner waterline. Ooh. Just a little bit though, it wasn't anything too crazy. And then later on, when it had gotten into my waterline, because I have the most watery eyes, I just like blended it into the lash line. Kind of building it up a little bit more on the lash line if we want, but again, it was super light. And that was it for the liner. I'm gonna go ahead and do the same on the other side, and then we'll be done. So that's the eyeliner applied. Now I'm gonna use my creative discretion here, because again, it was a depotted collection of eyeshadows. She used like a very light, soft, silvery glimmer. I would use my Shiseido Aura Dew in the silver, because I feel like that looks perfectly like what she used, but that doesn't exist anymore. So I'm gonna do a little mixology in this little Dior Backstage palette. There's a silver and a very light, soft gold shimmer here. So I'm gonna mix those two together to kind of create a little pretend eyeshadow topper moment, and just tap that on very lightly. She used very soft light hands with this, and just press that right into the middle. I was like, Aurelie, you're speaking my language. This is exactly the makeup I love to do. And how pretty are those two mixed together? So pretty. And just lightly patting that on top. Beautiful, simple, classic, love. I will go over with that clean brush and just make sure that I haven't mucked anything up, which I usually always do. So, you know. Now, the most horrifying step. If you guys have followed me for a long time, you'll know that I don't curl my lashes. I think I've had my eyelashes curled maybe once or twice. And I was telling her this, and she pulled out the eyelash curler, and I looked in horror, and I'm like, oh my God, I don't know why I'm so terrified of it. I've just seen way too many videos of people like chopping their eyelashes off and what have you. I've never felt the need to do it. I will say though, as I'm getting older, I do feel like my lashes, especially on the outer corners, they are not as lifted as they used to be. I don't know if I'm not making it up. I know I stare at my face all day long for years, but yeah, she used an eyelash curler, and I was like, damn, it was the first time where I was like, I see the difference, and I feel like I should adopt this in my own life. And obviously, like so many other people on this planet, the Shiseido eyelash curler was the one to use. So I don't know how to do this, and I'm gonna try my best. It feels so alien and terrifying to me, but let us curl the lashes. Aurelie, this one's for you. Okay, I literally don't know how people do this. Do you look down? Oh God, oh God. Oh, how long do you pinch? How long do you wiggle? Do you pinch and wiggle? Guys, how do you do? Okay, I'm being dramatic. That wasn't so bad, but it's still terrifying. I feel like I'm slicing my eyeballs off. Okay. I don't know how people do this after applying mascara. That'd be so terrifying to me. How long do you hold it? How do you know when it's done? Is that done? Am I lifted? Did I get all of the lashes in there? I feel like I didn't. What a terrifying experience. Okay, now that I'm doing it, it's kind of fun. How did I do? The most generic, like basic makeup task, and I'm having a heart attack over it. Perfect. So let's move on to mascara now that our eyelashes are curled. Any tips are welcome. Thank you so much. For the mascara, she had a number of mascaras, but one that I noticed was the Lancome Lashy Doll, and she was like, oh yeah, that's one of my favorites. I was like, perfect, say less, because I love this mascara, especially when I'm doing very soft, light, fluffy makeup. This one gives such a natural, fluffy finish to the lashes. So doing a layer of this on my upper lashes. Sorry guys, for whatever reason, the camera is just losing focus whenever I look away, so let me try to just... It's always such a bizarre experience. If I'm getting my makeup done, usually I do like to take over for the mascara because I think it's just one of those things that I'm a little bit more particular about and I like to do myself. But it's always interesting to have your mascara done by somebody else. It's such a weird feeling. I just feel like when you do it yourself, you can really like dig in there and get in the root and lift your lashes. But yeah, it's like pretty fun to see your lashes curled. Whoa, what a new concept, I know. You're welcome. And those are the eyes complete. Let's go ahead and do the lips. Now, on the lips, she used a Rare Beauty brown lip liner on me and then a lovely mixology of Dior lip products. I didn't really love the Rare Beauty liner. I thought it was like too brown. And again, this is just me personally. I thought it was too like warm and brown for the rest of the makeup. So just because I'm doing my own makeup now, I'm gonna go ahead and use my NYX liner because I just love how this one looks. So I'm gonna stick with the cool tones here and just rub that in. But again, regardless of who's doing your makeup, whether it's you, somebody else, what tone it is, like you can totally, there's just so many different lip colors and lip combinations you can do. Do whichever feels best and right. I did want to say that on that trip, the one lip color that I discovered was this Dior Rose Broom Satin Balm number 337. And this one is a little bit of a corally, shimmery, satiny shade, which I think looks really pretty with this blush. And I don't normally love these coral shades, but it's such a soft, soft hint of barely there corally pink. I thought it was so gorgeous and I thought it was such a pretty color. So I'm gonna put this on. And again, I think it really complements the blush very nicely. Now at this stage, this is where she had gone in and just touched up a few of the areas with concealer and applying the eye cream, just really doing a few more moments with her fingers and massaging in. And then at the end, she used powder. And I had actually asked her if she had ever tried the Givenchy powder because naturally I had this one on hand. And she was like, no, I haven't, but let me touch it. And she was touching it and rubbing it in her hands. And I was like, welcome, Aurelie, to the Givenchy powder. So she actually did use my Givenchy powder on my face to set in the makeup, but like the tiniest little bit. So I'm going to take a small amount on a brush, pat that off on my hand, and then use this to very, very lightly set in the skin and diminish shine in any areas where we don't want to appear shiny. But again, she used a tiny amount. Like even right now, I'm probably using way more than what she used on my face. Then she dipped into the lovely little Dior highlighting quad. And to be honest, I didn't witness like what shades she dipped into, but I know she was doing a little mixing here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do a little mixing as well into the 3 lightest shades and just apply a little touch of this onto the tops of the cheeks. I'll just put a little bit on my nose because I like to put it a little bit on my nose. And then we finished off with the Dior setting spray. And this is the finished makeup look. Those are all of the tips and tricks that I learned from my glorious hour with Aurelie, the makeup artist extraordinaire. I hope that I did it justice. I hope that I was able to deliver to you the things that I learned. And I hope if she's watching that she's not too mortified by the makeup that I've done today. But again, it's such an honor to be able to get the time with these world-renowned global celebrity makeup artists. And I just always pinch myself being able to learn tips and tricks from the best of the best and then also be able to share what I've learned with you guys. So I hope that you enjoyed this look. I hope you enjoyed my walkthrough and I hope to meet Aurelie again someday. I will be watching the next season of Emily in Paris with glee, knowing that those hands have also touched my face. Anyway, Aurelie's amazing. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Thank you so much for being here and for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow for a new video. Bye!